This is Alpaca Wool Insulation, a layer of alpaca wool squished between two layers of breathable synthetic fabric. And this jacket uses 100% alpaca wool insulation to keep you warm. It's marketed as a better alternative for synthetic insulation jackets and almost as good as Dawn. But is that really true, or is it just marketing talk? Well, in this video, I'm doing some real-life tests to find out. Synthetic insulation is made from 100% oil, so we all understand that it's not good for the environment. It doesn't have the best weight-to-warmth ratio, but at least it's cheap and it will keep you warm even when wet, because synthetics do not absorb a lot of water. The other option is down insulation, which has the best weight-to-warmth ratio that I know of. It packs down incredibly small and it's 100% natural. Its only downsides are that down is very expensive, it's hard to wash and maintain, and if untreated down gets wet, it tends to clump up and it doesn't keep you warm anymore. That, and also that is made by killing innocent birds. What? That is made by killing innocent birds. What? That it's made by killing innocent birds! Originally, and sometimes even still today, down is made by plucking the feathers off of live geese and ducks and only then killing them. Nowadays though, most of the down that you'll find in hiking gear is RDS certified, which means that the birds were killed before plucking the feathers. So on one hand you have synthetic insulation that kills the planet, and on the other hand, you have dawn insulation, which kills birds. Alpaca wool is harvested by shearing alpacas, which doesn't harm them. So it's a natural material that doesn't result in animal cruelty. It's said to have a better weight-to-warmth ratio compared to synthetic insulation and almost comparable to dawn insulation. I did some tests on my own, which you'll see later in this video, and based on these tests, I would say that alpaca insulation is about 35% heavier than dawn insulation. Alpaca wool is also oleophobic, which means that it doesn't soak up a lot of oils from your sweat. This means that compared to synthetics, which do absorb a lot of oils, after wearing it for several days, this jacket will smell better compared to synthetics. Another advantage is that if alpaca wool insulation gets wet, in theory it will still stay lofted and it will still keep you warm. But my testing revealed that that's not actually true. But more on that later in this video. You also do not have to worry about any special washing instructions, unlike dawn, which is very hard and tricky to wash and maintain. And lastly, alpaca insulation is also thermoregulating. I tested this myself, and to some degree, that's actually true. When hiking up a steep mountain, I was switching between both of these jackets, and I noticed that I was sweating less with the alpaca insulation jacket compared to dawn. The difference wasn't mind-boggling, but it definitely was there. In this video specifically, I'm testing the Paka Apu Lightweight puffer. This video isn't sponsored by them, but they did send me this jacket for free. It weighs 475 grams, it packs down really small, and it costs $279. It's got drawstrings on the bottom, elastic cuffs on the sleeves, which honestly I'm not really a big fan of because there's always a small gap there, a helmet-compatible hood with a drawstring at the back, two pockets, which I personally really like because the inside is lined with microfleece, which keeps your hands warm when you put them inside, and also another pocket here on the chest, which I can see being useful for everyday use, but personally for hiking, I don't think it's really that useful because the chest strap of your backpack always goes in front of it. To test how warm this jacket is, I did two tests. The first one was on top of a mountain at 2100 meters altitude with the temperature hovering at between 0 degrees Celsius. I spent an hour on the top switching between this jacket and my two other down jackets to find out which one is the warmest. The first one is this cheap down jacket from Decathlon, which is called the 4-Class MT100, which weighs 270 grams and costs about $50 to $100. And the second one is the Outdoor Vitals Nova Pro, which weighs 390 grams and costs $250. In the end, I realized that in terms of warmth, this jacket is roughly in between both of these down jackets. But I wanted to be more accurate, so I performed another test. The other day, I was staying in an unmanned mountain hut together with my wife and my dog. I woke up at 5:30 when the temperature was the coldest to wear each one of these jackets for 30 minutes with nothing underneath them. I started with the lightest and theoretically the coldest puffy jacket with the temperature at 2.4 degrees Celsius. All right, 30 minutes have passed and I'm stopping the timer. I'm feeling quite cold. I'm not shivering uncontrollably, but I am shivering quite a bit, and I can definitely feel all the cold drafts of air coming through as soon as I start moving, or as soon as the wind picks up, because yeah, it's a down jacket that just naturally happens. All right, it's 20 minutes later now. I'm now warm again. Again, I'm wearing nothing underneath this jacket, and I'm starting the timer for the second time. The temperature is 2.7 degrees Celsius, so roughly the same as to the previous test. All right, it's now 30 minutes and I'm stopping the timer. I'm definitely much warmer than I was previously. I'm not warm, but I'm also not cold. Like, I could keep sitting here like this for maybe another 15-20 minutes. Previously, with the first test, my body's reaction at the end of the 30 minutes was to sit like this. Now I can sit in a pretty relaxed position. Like, I'm not warm, but I'm pretty chill. I just started the timer for the third and final time. Again, I'm wearing nothing underneath this jacket. The temperature now is 2.8 degrees Celsius, so a bit warmer, but still roughly the same. 30 minutes just passed and I'm stopping the timer. Right now I am a bit cold, but I'm also not warm, only a bit warmer compared to the Alpaca jacket. After performing both of these tests, I would say that this Paka jacket is somewhere in between both of these jackets, but closer to the warmest one. So if we convert that to weight, I would say that this jacket is comparable to a 350 gram down jacket. And that's how I came up that it's 35% heavier, because this jacket weighs 475 grams. For the next test, I want to compare how well this Alpaca jacket performs when it's completely soaking wet compared to a normal down jacket treated with a DWR coating. When untreated, normal down gets wet, it clumps up and it loses its ability to keep you warm. If, however, the down is treated with a DWR coating, when it gets wet, it doesn't clump up, it still stays fluffy and it's still able to keep you warm, although not as much compared to when it was completely dry. My guess is that the Alpaca insulation will perform better because, in theory, it's comparable to a wool shirt, and when a wool shirt gets wet, it's still able to keep you warm. But it's just my theory, so let's find out what it's really like. I'm starting with the down jacket, and underneath I'm wearing a simple sun shirt, and I have another identical dry sun shirt for the next test. Also starting the timer, putting on some gloves as well. The water temperature is 9.3 degrees Celsius and the air temperature is 6.2 degrees Celsius. Roughly 10 minutes have passed so far. I'm still feeling pretty warm. I was honestly expecting to be much colder by now. 15 minutes so far. I'm still feeling pretty warm, so I'm gonna put it in the water again. Oh, it's really interesting actually. The inside of the jacket feels almost dry now, which is interesting that it dried in only 15 minutes. Ooh, it's definitely colder now. 30 minutes have passed and I'm stopping the timer. So I recently started getting maybe the first minimal shivers, but I'm definitely not cold. But I wouldn't say that I'm warm as well. If I'd continue for another 30 minutes purposely staying here in the shadows and not moving, maybe I would become cold, but I definitely wouldn't get hypothermia. I'm going back to the car to warm back up again, change to a new sun shirt, and then let's repeat the same experiment, only with the Alpaca jacket. Starting the timer for the second time. First impressions, this jacket definitely soaked up a bit more water, but not by a lot. It is heavier, but not by a lot. 10 minutes have passed so far. I'm still feeling pretty warm, but I am starting to feel some of the cold kick in. 15 minutes, so let's do another dip in the water. Oh yeah, now I can definitely feel that it's much heavier. Maybe 2-3 times heavier than the original weight. Oh, this doesn't feel good. Oh, I don't know, I think I will become pretty cold wearing this. See how much it's dripping? It just soaked up so much water the second time. 23 minutes have passed so far, and I am starting to feel the first shivers. I would say that right now I am a bit colder compared to the end of the 30 minutes of the previous test. Stopping the timer at 30 minutes. So as I'm wearing it for another 10-15 minutes after the second plunge, I am starting to feel some of the warmth come back up again because some of the water is drying out from the jacket, but I think it's a bit too late because I am starting to shiver now. I'm definitely colder compared to the first test. Like if I would continue waiting like this for another 20 minutes, I would be close to maybe the first signs of hypothermia. So I think the key problem here is that this jacket holds a lot of water when it's wet. I'm going to take it off and show you how much water it still has inside after 15 minutes of me wearing it. Also, now it doesn't have almost any fluff, whereas the down jacket did have quite a bit of fluff left, even when it was wet. I'm really glad that I performed this test instead of just relying on the product description, because in reality, when it's wet, it won't keep you very warm. So, is alpaca insulation really a good alternative to down insulation? On the plus side, it's friendlier to the environment and to the animals. It's easier to wash and maintain. It's thermoregulating. It has good odor resistance. And in my opinion, it also looks better than all of my other down puffy jackets. But on the downside, it's very expensive. It's also heavier, but only by 35%. And even though it doesn't collapse when it's wet, it soaks up a lot of water. So realistically, this jacket won't keep you very warm in extremely wet conditions. In my opinion, yes, this jacket is a good replacement for down insulation jackets, but just keep in mind that it won't perform as well as treated down. Personally, I really like that they're now offering a third choice instead of just choosing between synthetic and down insulation. Anyway, yeah, that was it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, subscribe, and I'll see you in one of my next videos. Bye!